Hi, welcome to Sacred Enzyme. Hope you're doing well today. So I got some stuff I want to go over with you today. We're going to go over this diagram that I put here. I hope you can see it better. This is the second time I've done this video. The first time it didn't show up. I've got too much light coming in here through the side window. So I want to talk about this time cycle that we're on right now, because we're down here in a 30,000 year increment, and this is the last increment of this clock. Okay, so I want to talk about this area particularly here. Now, if you've not watched the video where I broke this down, just go back and watch it, because if I have to go back and go through this again, it'll take too long. All right, so basically this right here is 2,500 year increments, and one of these is 30,000. Okay, so we're in the last wedge of our loom. Okay, so the way that the primordial mother explains it is that there are 144 notches on here on this. There's different increments of 2,500 years, and each one of them makes up 30,000, and then that is one notch in this clock of the age. All right, so when we get one of these full ages, the rug comes off the loom and we start again. We're at the end. So where we are is, I've had a lot of stuff come in about the primordial mother being linked to these wolf lineages, these lupine lineages that came here a long time ago, and they were here during the original Earth template. Okay, so I've ascertained that it was this age that was before the Phoenix. So this is about 7,500 years ago is when we had this timeline that I'm remembering right here. So this is when we had the wolf lupine lineages and we had the serpent lineages, but they were not corrupted, because this was during the first Garden of Eden. This was with the Earth Mother archetype. We had the Tree of Life. This is the primordial Earth. This was about the growth, the womb, nature, and innocence. And then we went into the Phoenix, and this was rebirth, purification, solar code illumination, transformation, and the collapse of the old systems. And we just came out of the Phoenix. And, you know, I talk a lot about Jessie Sabodar's work, because she was trained as a red priestess in this inversion timeline, right? And she talks about that these are contracts that we went from being in a contract with the Phoenix contract into being in the Leviathan contract. And the Leviathan is all about the water. And the reason is we go from fire to water when we get to the end of the cycle. And that determines what happens to the planet. So you have, in between fire and water, you have this space right here, which is vapor. So everything is about alchemy. Everything is about color theory. Everything that has to do with something alchemical and color related and numbers, you can put it in and it is like keys here. So in order for us to have a balance, we have to have a vapor canopy back. We have to be able to transmute all of the fire and all of the water, all of the trauma that's from all of these past increments is locked up in ice. Okay, so we went from being free flowing back here to going into crystalline, even more, and then as that is, these are all clicks, all of these clicks, these 12 clicks. This is a change, a slight change, another change, and then you have celestial bodies that are coming in all the time. They come in, like you got Halley's Comet every 70-something years that come in. Well, these are all bringing in codes. This is all codes. It's just like cheat codes on a video game or some kind of codes that has to do with coding, because we're living in a hologram. We are a biological computer. So this is 144 clicks. So the number 144 is very special, because 1 is the number of creation, 4 symbolizes the 4 corners, the 4 elements, the structure of something, the stabilization of the cycle, and the weaving of the pattern here. And so then you've got a 4 again, which shows that this is twinning. This is a magnification of the 4s. So this is double 4s. So we've got a double structure here. We've got masculine and feminine, light and dark, antiparticle and particle. We've got the mirror here. Double fours means amplified form. So if you get 1 plus 4 plus 4 equals 9. 9 is the number of the completion of a cycle. It's harvest. It's the final cycle, guys. It's the stage before birth. You have 9 months in the womb, right? It's the threshold number. It's the full expression. It's the end of the loom, guys. So basically, this 144, this last number, this last one, number 144, it's the completion. It's the completion of this cycle. So are we going to turn this into vapor? Are we going to be the transmuters of this? Like the wolf and lupine serpent lineage, they were the harmonics tuners. They were the boundary walkers. They tuned the harmonics in the universe, and they also tuned the water on the planet. They're water tuners. The serpents are water tuners. The wolves are vibration tuners. They're frequency tuners. This is why they test for these in the SSP. They want people that carry lupine coding and serpent coding because you have abilities that they're seeking. You can make changes in the fabric of time, and that's what they like to do. They like to time travel back, and they like to try to mess with this clock, to keep this clock from making its final moment on the 13th hour, but they cannot. They cannot. So what they've tried to do is they've tried to go back in time, and they've tried to monkey with everything. But we're waking up to this, right, guys? We're waking up. We're remembering all about people from other civilizations. We're remembering about the original teachers. Like, you know, I was running across this information about Zalmoxis, the cave teacher, who was supposedly the first spiritual teacher. He said he came from Hyperborea. So, I mean, we're talking about he came from a higher dimensional space here. So was he one of the Anuna that we were talking about? I think so. I think so. So he taught the people all about, you know, their immortality, that they were immortal souls. And these people were the Dacian people, and later the Thracian people. You know, these were the wolf dragon standard. And there's quite a few groups in ancient times that had the wolf dragon standard. A lot of it's in Asian stuff. And maybe this is why the primordial mother, she appears to be Asian. I mean, she does. So this is my memories of timelines are coming through right now. And this is one of these times. This is where the twinning was going on. They had twinning. They had twinning in this time. This was the original template of the primordial. The primordial template was 2 boys, which were the pillar, and 1 girl, which was the balance. The 2 boys gave the reflection, and the 1 girl brought the harmony. So, I mean, this was the original family template. Twinning wasn't just biology. It's a cosmic architecture. So it's how polarity forms, how stability emerges, and how consciousness organizes itself. So when these symbolic memories came for me, I mean, this all aligned perfectly on this Dacian Empire. I was like, oh, no wonder I like Spartacus. No wonder I recognize that. And I know that I have my coding. I already know. You know, I've known since I was a child. It's not a mystery to me. So to understand the Dacians, you know, and the Thracian world, I started looking at what they did for their, you know, like their belief system. And it was talking about that they did like these ecstatic rites, that they built these mountain sanctuaries. And so, you know, then that brings me back to, I start thinking about, you know, Turkey, because I have timeline bleed through of Turkey and being in Turkey. So I know that during this time, that Turkey looked a lot different. It looked a lot different. And there were different groups of people there. It was the cataclysms that changed everything around. And I ran across some information the other day that there was a hypothesis that, you know, I've been wondering the same thing. And he thinks that Constantinople was Jerusalem. And I totally believe it, because it makes perfect sense. You've got the missing time. You know, we've got some kind of timeline adjustment that's happened, right? And then we have the years of Tartaria that are just kind of like a mystery. It's like, was there that much time? Is this civilization been gone that long? I don't think so. I don't think so. So, I mean, you've got, they had cave initiations, and you know, in the 1700s, they were doing those hellfire cave things. So, you know, they knew all these places were there. Underworld journeys, and Hercules talks about underworld journey, Persephone, this, that. The belief in the Apollo, the belief in the immortal soul. So, they all mirror the same quadrant of the wheel, where rebirth and shadow integration intensify. So, you know, I just think it's really interesting. It brings me back to this cosmic clock here. You know, this Phoenix cycle dissolved, the Leviathan cycle started, and then we have fire meeting water right here. So we've got the wolf meeting the serpent, right? We've got the wolf guardian. This is a gatekeeper. You know, this is a boundary walker. So, you know, these people that have this code, these wolf lineages, this is what they're here for right now. They're here right now to be doing this work. You're here to be working with the planet. It's your job here. So, many of us are feeling echoes of this same transition. I know that I am. So, when we study the Dacians and these wolf dragon lineages, I mean, we're studying the architecture that's unfolding right now with this clock. You know, we've got all these systems that come through like clockwork. And we've got the SSP that seek the lupine and the serpent code holders, and they test them in my labs by putting wolves in with them and snakes. So with that, it's been 11 minutes and I breezed through this as quick as I could. But if you get it, you get it. You know, we gotta do the best we can to work with water, to help each other, to get in our communities, to be involved in growing our own food, because we've got to put the codes back in the planet. The planet's in rough shape, and if we don't work together, then we're going to have no vapor. And, you know, I think that we are potentially moving towards a vapor canopy, because we had a wet moon recently. And that means that there's more moisture in the atmosphere. So we might be getting our vapor canopy back. So I think we could possibly be ascended. I'm really happy that everybody's waking up. It just tickles me to death. I'm not here by myself now. And I'm so grateful for everybody that watches the channel, that works with the planet, who loves the planet, and that honors the planet, and who honors our Heavenly Father and our primordial mother, Mother Earth. So when you come and find me, I'll be here, because we're living in the past, present, and the future, all at the same time. Thanks for watching Sacred Enzyme, and I hope to catch you on the next one. Bye-bye.